A Java developer with just 3 years experience gets over 15 lakhs Indian rupees per annum. How about that? In today's video, we are going to talk about the role of a backend developer. Backend developer, another critical role in the IT industry. So before moving into what is the role of a backend developer, let's first understand what is backend. In the earlier videos, I've talked about front end. The front end is the front facing, the client facing, the user facing part of the application, the one which you see. So backend is like a connector. It's a communicator. It pulls in data from the data store, the database. In the interim, it does some parsing, some processing and those stuff, returns it back to the front end. And that's what you see. So if I take example of Amazon.com, let's go to the website. What we see here is that list of items shown up. Now these products which you see are obviously coming in from a store, a database, a set of record which is kept. Now backend has got APIs, application programming interfaces. These are interfaces which allow you to communicate with other services, other third parties, and so on. Take an example of your shopping cart. Take an example of Amazon, Flipkart, whatever. When you're purchasing it, there is a payment gateway which comes into picture, right? You're making the payment over there. Now this communication with different payment gateways, be it HDFC, be it BillDesk, be it CC Avenue, whatever. This communication happens via APIs. These companies, these payment gateways, they provide us with the API. They tell us that, look, these are the endpoints, the URL which you have to hit, and that's how you are going to make the payment and do the processing and so on. So API is definitely at the heart of your backend. Alright, now let's look into what the role of a backend developer is. So the most popular languages anyone knows, even if you're not from the IT industry, Java, .NET, Python, PHP, so on. These programming languages are what a backend developer would use to build the application. So they are going to write their code in these languages. These are called as middle tier languages. And they are compiled and processed on the server. So they are kind of a server side programming languages. Most often these are object oriented programming languages. I will cover that up in some other video. Object oriented programming, or OOPS as we call it, is a paradigm which developers follow in order to build an application which is more structured and it is more manageable and it's also optimized. So coming back to the API. Now APIs can be developed in different forms. You can have a web service, a SOAP XML web service, or you can have a REST JSON API. These are, different ways of creating web services and API calls. Now, coming back to another really important part of a backend developer. Backend developer has to fetch these information from a store or a database. They should know the different types of databases, SQL, NoSQL, graph, so on. They should be able to write queries, do CRUD operations, CRUD, create, read, update, delete. These operations onto the databases. They should be able to optimize it. So this is typically what a regular backend developer does. Now, if you want to excel in this role, what can you do? Firstly, you should understand what is a system design. What does a system consist of? And how does that communication happen? The architecture. Coming to the communication part where different APIs communicate with each other. Different layers communicate with each other. This brings us to the messaging queue, the MQs, likes of RabbitMQ, Kafka, and so on. And then you should know what are the different cloud services which you can leverage and how can you build upon them. And one thing which is really going to set you apart from the rest is the security. How much emphasis do you put on application security? The application security, the API, the backend plays a major role because the front end is exposed. You can manipulate the browser, you can do lots of things with JavaScript. That's where your backend has to be solid, your validation should be on point, authorization, authentication should be solid. I'm using solid again. So this is what a secure application would look like. And you as a backend developer have to ensure that you're building this application securely. So you have the idea of application security and everything which goes around it. Alright, I have tried to sum it up in this short video. I hope you liked it. Let me know in the comments if I have missed anything or if you're having any query, and I'll take it up in another video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure to do so. Until next time, bye bye.